What's up, everybody? I just want to touch base real quick on where we're at with our study. Unfortunately, I actually was delayed and not able to get out to the field this past weekend. I was actually wrapping the semester. Good news is the proposal was approved, so we're definitely going. Um, the not bad news, kind of shocking news that I got today. A study came out, which is a very good thing, but kind of shorted me a little bit. Kind of didn't short me, changed the game a little bit. So last year, almost a year ago, I was in an environmental management course, and part of that course was to put together a management plan. Assess wolves, in case you haven't figured that out. So we were working on wolves. I put together this presentation. I just got my YouTube up right now. I find this on my channel, Reintroduction to Management of Gray Wolves. As part of this presentation, you'll see this image in the background. This is kind of important what I'm talking about right now. I was talking about reintroduction site alternatives. If you pop over here to my Onyx, which is where I've been tracking a lot of this stuff, this area in purple is the general area that I had identified as suitable for reintroduction. These two black spots or black waypoints are where I would personally put the initial individuals being introduced. Black waypoints, just for satisfying your curiosity, are rough locations of where wolves have been sighted prior to the establishment of the pack. These green waypoints are exact locations that I've been given from my contact in northern Colorado. He's passing along information on actual sightings to me. So just things to keep you all in the loop on where we're tracking them. Back to this purple area. This is where I would have suggested putting wolves, and I'm going to drop random waypoint, and we'll do it center-ish. See where that puts us. 37.77 minus 104.3. Back to the study I discovered today. This was put out, it's actually in October issue of, I remember the journal name off the top of my head, Global Ecology and Conservation, Defining Ecological and Socially Suitable Habitat for the Reintroduction of Apex Predator, Dittmer et al. Awesome study. They did great work. Essentially what they're at is, where do we put these wolves that are being mandated by Colorado law to come back into the ecosystem, where they're going to be faced with minimal conflict and best prey availability. Very much along the lines of what we've been doing. This came as a little bit of a blow to me because if we can bounce back over here, the work that I did in 2020, see this waypoint real quick, grab this area, show you that I'm not full of it. 12, 16, 21, 10, 11 a.m. is when I identified this area. Come back to the waypoint, center, so where we're at now, 37.6 minus 105. Back to Dittmer study. Minus 105 is going to put us around here, 37.6, somewhere in this region. This is important. Dittmer essentially, in multiple occasions, I'll explain these maps in just a second, but just keep looking at our, 107, 105, 37, puts us in this general region. Dittmer identified the same area that I did, essentially. Look at the explanation here. Essentially what you're seeing is this white square, which is the white coloration of the map. Those are areas that have low ecological suitability and low conflict risk. We're not going to run the livestock operations there. We are not either going to see good prey availability, good habitat for birds. So those aren't good spots for them to be. Climb up, you get into this pink color, high conflict with risk, low ecological suitability. A lot of livestock, a lot of people, not a good spot for the wolves, and also not a lot of natural prey or habitat available. Overall bad deal. Get into these darker greens, high ecological suitability, low conflict risk. These are the areas that I identified in my previous study as being the best places to put wolves. The exact release sites that I identified here, tab here, maybe not the best. Let's see. It's just precise location on this, 38.61066. Come back to the Dittmer study, 38.61066. So this B map is the winter range, so that's pretty rough spot in winter to put wolves. 38.61066. Real good summer spot. I'm harping on this, and I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but my point here is that this is something that I identified a year ago. It's been reinforced, which is fantastic, but somebody beat me to the punch on the publication. So the reason I'm updating you guys on this is because it's hugely important to my study that we keep securing this funding and get to rolling. Now, I started off by saying, hadn't made it to the field yet, and that's a bad deal. The good news is with the Dittmer study, now we have actually identified better areas to place our trail cams, do our observations where wolves are not present. Those are the most likely areas where they will be coming back. So if we know that, we know where to start so we can identify the behaviors and we can compare those behaviors to the wild animals where they're at now. Potentially, we could also expand this beyond a research study to actually take these two parts of wildlife to say, hey, maybe relocate these wolves from these areas. Bounce back over here real quick because these areas where they're located currently, off tab, I apologize, up near Walden, green points that I've been given by a rancher up there. Just grab one at random, this guy. 40.7 minus 1062. Come back over to Dittmer. Roughly, oh, we don't even make the, is it 47? 40.7, that makes more sense. 40.7, 1062. Oh, look at that, high conflict, low ecological suitability in summer. 40.7, 1062. Now, interesting point here. We are still in that higher conflict, a little bit better ecological suitability in the winter. That's known elk winter range, so that stands to reason. However, the point still remains. What we're seeing now is we have cattle depredations in this area where the wolves are located at this moment. The areas that Dittmer and I have identified as suitable habitat don't pose a whole lot of risk of that at any time of year. So, again, bringing this up because I want you guys to not only know where we're at, but also understand why I am pushing so hard for this study and why I need the funding. I was beat to the punch on the reintroduction site study. I didn't have the funding, I didn't have the time. So I'm really reaching out and issuing a plea, I guess, for your support of anybody you know who might be willing to step in and can see the importance of this and help us get out there, help us, take that time off of work to burn that extra gas at a time when gas isn't cheap, keep the maintenance on the vehicles, and get out there and really do this work so that we can further inform this reintroduction, because as it stands, it's only these types of studies. I found the Dittmer study because a popular media article came out that said 5 things you need to know about the Colorado wolf reintroduction. None of it's coming from Parks and Wildlife. That's I'm not disparaging Parks and Wildlife at all. They have a lot to worry about. They're not putting a lot into wolves. They don't have the time or resources either. They're relying on people like Dittmer. They're relying on people like me. Dittmer has university connections. I do not, so I'm relying on you to obtain that funding. So that's all I've got for tonight. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Comment on the videos. This is going to go up on Instagram as well as YouTube. And then, of course, it'll be shared through the GoFundMe as well. Please share that link with anybody you know who might be willing to help. And if you are not able to help financially, but maybe you have a contact or a resource or an idea of who I might be able to contact directly to help with this, I am all ears. I would greatly appreciate you. You guys have a good one. Talk to you later.